Right this very moment, countless men across the globe are stuck in relationships that are silently tearing them apart, and tragically, most of them don't even realize it. They carry the belief that they're being loyal partners, supportive husbands, and respectable men. In truth, they're prisoners of a form of abuse so deceptive, so corrosive, that by the time they open their eyes to what's really happening, their identity and strength have already been shattered. What I'm about to reveal is the concealed universe of female-driven psychological abuser realm of tactics, mental games, and systematic dismantling of men that society refuses to acknowledge. From an early age, we're programmed with one narrative. Men are always the aggressors. Women are always the victims. That's the rule, without exception. But what if I told you the reality is far more complicated? Women inflict as much damage as men do in relationships. Only their tools are different. Men may strike with fists. Women wield words, silence, and control. Men can bruise the body. Women can scar the soul. And guess which one the law recognizes? Only the physical act. A woman could psychologically torment her husband for decades, leaving him hollow and broken, and yet the world will dismiss it, laugh it off, or blame him for it. I'm going to show you real accounts that will chill you to the core. These aren't weak men, nor are they incapable or pitiful. These are intelligent, powerful, successful individuals who are broken piece by partners skilled in psychological warfare. The truly horrifying reality? In almost every case, it began exactly the way your own relationship might have started, with tenderness, with affection, with love. That's how the trap is set. Consider one man. I advised a 60-year-old executive who had built a thriving company, raised a family, and believed he had lived the right kind of life. Yet today, he lives in his own house like a ghost. For 3 years, his wife hasn't spoken a single word to him. Not one. They occupy the same home, even the same bedroom, but she treats him as though he's invisible. So he's reduced to timing his every move around her schedule, leaving his room only when she's gone to work. He buys separate groceries, prepares his meals alone, and eats in silence within the 4 walls he pays for. And such a nightmare unfold. It didn't happen overnight. It started innocently, almost reasonably. First, she targeted his friends. They're a bad influence. They don't respect me. It's either them or me. Wanting peace, he chose her. Next came his hobbies. Fishing is childish. Golf wastes money. You should be more family-oriented. He gave those up too. Then, piece by piece, she dismantled his ties to family. Your brother is toxic. Your mother doesn't accept me. We need boundaries. Before long, every connection to the outside world was gone. He was left with only her hand. Once isolation was complete, she stopped pretending to care at all. The cruelest twist? The house he lives in, his supposed sanctuary, no longer even belongs to him. Right before retirement, he signed over a large mortgage entirely in her name. Why? Because that's what devoted husbands are expected to do. Now he's financing the very prison that holds him captive. If he dares to leave, he faces homelessness at 60. If he stays, he continues wasting away inside. He hasn't experienced intimacy in over 10 years. He hasn't had a genuine conversation in 3. He's a hollowed-out shell, a man who once commanded boardrooms and built an empire, but who now can't muster the power to eat a simple meal at his own table. Here said what so many men fail to recognize about female psychological abuse: it is engineered to leave no trace. When a man raises his hand, there's physical evidence. A bruise, a mark. What? When a woman methodically tears down a man's psyche, nobody else can see it. To the outside world, she's charming, sweet, perhaps even admired. To him, she's a tormentor. In public, she can shed tears and win sympathy. In private, she's dismantling his very sense of self. And if he ever reaches his breaking point, yelling, punching a wall, even just reacting emotionally, she suddenly has all the proof she needs that he is the dangerous one. The weapons she uses are subtle but devastating. Once you see them, you can't unsee them. Everything somehow becomes your fault. She's unhappy because you're not romantic enough. She's bored because you're not exciting enough. If she cheats, it's because you drove her into someone else's arms. Every conflict, every failure is twisted back onto you. You find yourself apologizing endlessly, solving problems that don't even exist, trying to correct shortcomings that were never really yours. One man I counseled was a highly paid programmer, brilliant at his craft. Yet his wife had convinced him he was a sex addict simply because he desired intimacy more than once a month. She told him he was obsessed, broken, in need of therapy. So despite having a completely normal sex drive, he was sitting in sessions for a disorder he didn't have, while she controlled every aspect of their intimacy through manufactured shame. He lived in gratitude for scraps of attention, convinced she was helping him when she was actually breaking him. This is one of the most powerful tools, precisely because it looks like nothing at all. Rarely will she forbid you from seeing your friends outright. That would be too obvious. Instead, she perfects the art of strategic conflict. Every time you plan to go out, suddenly there's an unrelated fight. Not about the outing itself, but about something trivial. The trash you forgot. The tone you used last week. A comment you made months ago. By the time you're done arguing, you're late, upset, or too drained to go. Eventually, your friends stop inviting you. They joke that you're whipped. Slowly, they fade away. She never once explicitly told you not to go yet somehow. You're completely cut off. Then comes the love bombing. We don't need anyone else. It's just you and me against the world. It feels romantic, intoxicating even, until you wake up one day and realize you're alone, dependent, and trapped. At social events, during casual conversations, she uses your weaknesses as punchlines. She'll joke about your salary, your receding hairline, your failed projects. Everyone laughs awkwardly, while you sit there burning with shame. And if you dare object, she flips it. Relax. It was just a joke. You're too sensitive. Don't ruin the fun. I recall one dinner party where a man's wife spent the evening mocking his income, his aging body, even his bedroom performance. Guests laughed uncomfortably, watching his dignity unravel. But he couldn't leave without being branded dramatic, nor could he protest without proving her point. He was trapped in a cage of public humiliation, his suffering invisible behind her smile. This is so normalized that most men don't even recognize it as abuse. Intimacy becomes transactional, a conditional reward. You obey, you sacrifice, you toe the line. Maybe you will be allowed a taste of what should be a natural part of love. Disagree with her, stand your ground, assert independence. Suddenly, she's never in the mood. One entrepreneur I advised had been married 15 years, but hadn't been intimate for 3. His wife's demands kept shifting: lose more weight, earn more money, spend more time at home, plan better dates. The bar was always out of reach, because intimacy was never the goal. Control was. He was being trained like an animal, desperate for affection, always falling short of conditions designed to be impossible. She doesn't need access to your accounts if she can manipulate your spending through social pressure. Sarah's husband bought her a new car. My sister's family goes abroad every year, slowly. You kill yourself working longer hours, chasing a lifestyle she demands, and if you fail to provide, you're labeled inadequate. Work harder to afford it, then you're accused of neglect. It's a rigged game where no matter what you do, you're wrong. Winning was never an option. Control was the prize. This is the ultimate trump card, the nuclear strike in psychological warfare. She does and have to raise her hand when she can threaten the one thing she knows you. I'll never risk losing your kids. You'll never see them again. I'll tell them who you really are. They'll grow up knowing daddy didn't love them enough to stay. Those words hold more power than any bruise. Because in most courts, custody is almost automatically hers. Men cling to toxic marriages, tolerating humiliation and control, just to stay near their children. One contractor told me how blunt his wife was. I can treat you however I want, because if you walk out, I get the house, the kids, and half your money for the next 15 years. So shut up and take it. And disturbingly, she wasn't wrong. The system built to shield women from violent men doubles as her weapon to crush him without consequence. This is where reality itself becomes unstable. She'll deny what she said. She'll tell you you're imagining things. She insists that your memory is wrong, your perception flawed, your sensitivity exaggerated. Slowly, you lose faith in your own judgment. She revises history constantly, turning herself into the saint and you into the villain. That cruel remark she made last week, it never happened. That promise she broke, must have misunderstood. That boundary you set. Suddenly you're controlling and toxic. Because she's verbally sharp and emotionally cunning, she makes you doubt your very mind. Over time, you begin to believe her narrative. Maybe I am too sensitive. Maybe I am controlling. Maybe I am the problem. That's the trap. You start carrying the blame for sins she committed. Here, she ties your sense of duty and compassion to her own theatrics. Threats of suicide if you leave, hysterical crying when you set boundaries, panic attacks whenever you express independence. Suddenly, you're not living your life, you're managing hers. Every decision revolves around avoiding another meltdown. Your career, your friendships, your peace will sacrifice to keep her stable. I knew a physician whose wife had panic attacks only when he tried to travel for medical conferences. 5 years later, he hadn't attended a single one, and his career had flatlined. Conveniently, her episodes never happened when she wanted something, only when he did. He became her caretaker, her jailer, her emotional crutch. Not a husband, Dan. Emotional hostage. This is master-level manipulation. She provokes relentlessly days, even weeks of nitpicking, insults, silent treatments until you finally snap. You yell, you slam a door, you punch a wall. And suddenly, the script flips. Now, you are the abuser. She has her evidence. Tears streaming down her face, she tells everyone you're unstable, aggressive, dangerous. The entire history of her provocation vanishes, leaving only your reaction. She might even call the police. And who do you think the authorities will believe, the crying woman or the man defending himself? I've seen men dragged away in handcuffs while carrying scratches and bruises she inflicted, all because he dared resist. This is perhaps the most addictive pattern in human psychology, the same principle used in casinos and gambling. It's why men stay. She gives you just enough love, just enough intimacy, just enough kindness to make you believe things are improving. Those rare moments of tenderness feel like the woman you once fell for is still there. Your brain lights up with hope, convincing you the storm is ending, but it's calculated. She withholds affection for weeks, then showers you with love for a day. That one day keeps you hooked for months. You tell yourself she's changing, it's getting better, but it isn't. It never will. It's a manipulation loop designed to keep you chained, clinging to the illusion of the woman you thought she was. Like any addiction, it consumes you, keeping you desperate for the next fix while she tightens her control. Suddenly, mysterious health problems appear: headaches, stomach pains, back issues that always seem to surface at the exact moment you try to assert independence. Plan to visit your parents? Oh, she's crippled with migraines. Friends invite you out? Her stomach flares up, suggests she contribute financially. Her back gives out. The symptoms are real to her, but they serve a purpose, trapping you in the role of caretaker. You can't leave a sick partner without feeling like a monster. And so, you become her nurse, her servant, her lifeline. Strangely, these illnesses never interfere when she wants to shop, go out with her friends, or enjoy herself. But call it out, and you're insensitive, uncaring, heartless. She's weaponized your compassion into shackles. She frames herself as morally superior, spiritually enlightened, divinely guided. God wants you to be better. Universe says you need to change. Her intuition tells her you're lying. Your needs, your emotions, your identity are painted as sinful, low vibration, or toxic masculinity. She becomes the prophet of the relationship, and you're cast as the sinner in need of salvation. Every disagreement becomes a battle not just with her, but with morality itself. You can't argue, because in her narrative, she's backed by heaven while you're drowning in flaws. Try telling someone your wife is abusing you, and watch the disbelief form on their face. At best, they think you're exaggerating. At worst, they assume you're the real abuser, flipping the script. There are endless shelters for battered women, but virtually none for men. Support groups for female victims are everywhere, but if you're a man, good luck finding even one that takes you seriously. I recall a businessman who endured years of his wife smashing objects, throwing punches, destroying his belongings. When he finally built up the courage to report her, the police laughed, literally laughed in his face. What do you want us to do? Arrest your wife? Man up. But when she later accused him of grabbing her wrist as she tried to hit him with a lamp, he spent the night in jail. He had scratches and defensive wounds. She had nothing. Yet the system labeled him the aggressor. In couples counseling, she plays the victim masterfully. Charming, tearful, persuasive, she bends the therapist to her version of events. Suddenly, the The sessions revolve around fixing your supposed anger issues or controlling behavior. Even individual therapy fails many men, as countless professionals are trained to see men as perpetrators and women as victims by default. There's no room in their model for male victims, no matter the evidence. The result? Men are cornered, abused at home, dismissed by society, betrayed by systems meant to provide help. They're trapped in a nightmare with no clear way out. They're suffering erased by a culture that refuses to acknowledge it even exists. So what can a man do if he sees himself in this? The first and most vital truth: you are not weak. You are not insane. You are not broken. You are a target of deliberate psychological warfare carried out by someone who knows exactly what they are redoing. That fog of confusion in your mind, the self-doubt, the inability to trust your own memory, that is not stupidity. It is the result of long-term manipulation. Every cruel remark, every threat, every incident, write it down, record it, email it to yourself. Not because the world will believe you most one T, but because you need evidence for yourself when she rewrites history. Gaslighting loses its power when you have undeniable records. She's cut you off from friends and family for a reason. They are reality checks. Start reconnecting discreetly. Reach out to old friends, form new bonds she doesn't know about. These people will remind you of who you were before she dismantled you. Open an account she cannot access. Start saving quietly. Track assets, because when you finally decide to leave, she will aim to ruin you financially. You must be ready for the storm. Leaving may mean losing almost everything: your house, your wealth, even your reputation. She will call you an abuser. She will poison the children against you. She will try to destroy you legally and socially. But staying means something even worse: losing yourself entirely. And that is one loss you cannot recover from. The most brutal truth is this: the tenderness, the care, the affection that was the mask. The real person is the one who isolates you, mocks you, manipulates you, controls you. The good times you cling to are bait. The abuse is the reality. And here's what every victim tells himself: my case is different. She's not that bad. I can fix it. That's the lie. That's what every man believes until he's 60 years old, eating alone in his bedroom, a prisoner in the home he paid for. Another excuse: but I love her. Love cannot heal someone who doesn't believe they're broken. She thinks the relationship is perfect because she has total control. You provide money, stability, obedience. What's there for her to change? If you're unhappy, that's your problem. There is only one way to win this game: stop playing. Begins with admitting the unthinkable: you are in an abusive relationship. Most men will never accept this. Their pride, their ego, their need to appear strong keeps them trapped. The irony is brutal. The refusal to admit weakness becomes the very weakness that destroys them. Yes, these words are harsh. They clash with everything you've been taught about women, about marriage, about masculinity. But someone has to speak the truth. Women can be just as vicious, just as cruel, just as destructive as men. They simply hide it better. They exploit society's blind spots, legal protections, and psychological tactics. The scars they leave are deeper because the world refuses to acknowledge them. Bruises fade. Psychological wounds bleed forever. This describes your life. No, this you are not alone. Millions of men are silently enduring the same hell, convinced they're the only ones, convinced they're weak, convinced it's their fault. It's not. You are not weak for being manipulated by someone you loved. You are not stupid for not seeing it sooner. You are a victim of advanced psychological abuse. Admitting that is the first step to freedom. But here's the real question: how many years will you spend walking on eggshells in your own home? How much of your identity will you surrender, trying to satisfy someone who will never be satisfied? You have one life, one chance. Right now, you're spending it as a prisoner. She doesn't love you, she loves controlling you. That isn't a marriage. That's a hostage situation. And deep down, you already know it. Most of you will read these words, feel a pang of recognition, and then do nothing. Will keep you where you are. Hope will chain you. Tomorrow will come, identical to today, identical to the day after, until you're old, broken, wondering where your life disappeared. But a few of you will see this for what it is: a wake-up call. You'll start planning, quietly but surely. You'll recognize you're not crazy, not alone, not trapped forever. Escaping will be the hardest thing you ever attempt. You will lose more than you can imagine, but you will gain something priceless. The choice is yours. Remain in hell with the devil you know, or risk it all for a chance at freedom. Every day you stay is a day stolen. Every day you submit is a day of slavery. And one day you will run out of days. Stop believing her lies that you're the problem. Stop accepting society's silence. Stop letting fear make your decisions. You deserve better. You deserve peace. You deserve respect. You deserve love without conditions, manipulation, or control. But you will never find it as long as you stay with someone who thrives on your pain. Time is running out. Your life is slipping away. And she's counting on you being too afraid, too exhausted, too broken to leave. Prove her wrong. Thank you for listening.